As I travelled round the edges of the empty quarter, I became more and more obsessed with the idea of crossing the sands.
I asked the herdsman in the foothills about the Rub al-Khali, the empty quarter. What is he talking about? What does he want? God alone knows. At last one of them exclaimed, "Oh, he means the sands." And I realized that this was their name for the great desert of southern Arabia.
Even round the edges of the empty quarter, the country is very desolate. You don't get any or very little cultivation, and the people themselves have had very little contact with the outside world. It isn't like northern Arabia, where the Arabs are in contact with Damascus and Baghdad and these other big towns. In southern Arabia, one desert really merges into another desert that's still more desolate. Even in the oases, there's very little cultivation. They have a few palm trees. Really the difference between them and the tribes that live in the empty quarter itself is that they're less nomadic. In consequence of this, I suppose they have more time to relax. For instance, the sheikhs have enough time to go out hawking, a thing which the Arabs in the empty quarter would never be able to do. They use peregrines and Seika falcons, which they catch in passage in the early winter. They carry them about the whole time on their wrists. And when they sleep at night, they have them on the block beside their heads. And when they're sitting in the sheikh's guest house, and there's a noise and shouting and talking going on the whole time, there are these hawks on their wrists, getting used to it. The Bedou are pretty self-sufficient, but they have to come in every now and again to the towns and villages. And then there's nothing they enjoy so much as watching a dance at the end of the fast of Ramadan or when there's a wedding. But what they really enjoy is when the sheikhs lay on a camel race. But it's camels which dominate the Bedou's life. They're absolutely obsessed by them. but it was only when I left the coastal villages and the settlements that I really met the nomads of the desert. The tribes among whom I traveled were the Rashid and the Awamar, and they moved about in small family groups to go off by themselves into the sands. Like all Arabs, the Bedou are very friendly people. It would be impossible to be lonely among them, but the price you pay for this is a complete lack of privacy. Compared with the women of the towns, the Bedou women have a great deal more freedom. It's obviously impossible to shut a woman up in a tent, or if you're living under a tree. Among the Bedou, only men or boys can milk camels. They never let the women do it. And before they milk a camel, they always wash their hands, even if it's only under another camel that's staling. Milk has tremendous importance to these people. It's their main diet. When they go off into the sands, they can be there for 6 months, living entirely on milk.
It was towards the end of his first year that Thesiger contacted the Bedou of the sands. He was now ready to attempt a crossing of the empty quarter.
I remember my excitement when I first met the Rashid. I realized at once that these were people quite different to the Beit Kathir. If anybody was going to be able to take me across the sands, they would be able to.
My companions were puzzled by my speech, but this did not stop them from asking questions about the Christians. Did they know God? Did they fast and pray? Were they circumcised? Did they marry like Muslims, or just take a woman when they wanted one? How much bride price did they pay? Did they own camels? Were they tribesmen? How did they bury their dead? When I first entered the sands, I was bewildered by the utter unfamiliarity of my surroundings, and frightened by the feeling that I had only to be separated from my companions, to be completely lost in a maze of dunes.
Traveling across the desert, if you come on a stray camel in milk, you have the right to milk it. This is accepted by all the Arabs. Similarly, if one of your party is riding on a bull camel, any encampment you come on has the right to demand that this bull camel should serve the female camels there, with sometimes very exhausting results for the poor old bull camel.
I had no desire to travel faster. In this way, there was time to notice things, time to collect a plant or look at a rock. The very slowness of our